Well, hello everybody. I'm Bernie Cardell, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of Bernie at the Bar. I have a very special guest here with me today, Mr. Luke Rahmsdorff-Terry, director of The Shark is Broken, opening on January the 9th, next Friday. Luke, welcome.
Thank you, Bernie. Very happy to be here.
So for audiences that may not have seen you a lot on stage or in front of the camera, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as far as, like you say, being on stage at Vintage, most recently I was on stage, not this year, but now last year, in Grand Horizons, which was in the Von Trimble Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful family ensemble comedy with Deb Persoff and Verl Height playing my parents.
Yes.
Mark Pergola as my brother, Jen So as my wife, and then Linda Suttle and Jonathan Underwood in supporting roles. Wonderful, wonderful comedy.
It was a great cast.
It was a great cast.
Yeah.
It was a great cast. It was a great script, great director as well too.
Thank you.
But also before that, in 2024, I was in the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, which was in the Nicholson Auditorium
As the principal.
as Vice Principal Pants.
Vice principal, yes.
I got to read the words out.
That's right.
For everyone, which was
Pretty
a treat of a
hilarious.
role. That was a very fun role. Got to pick out audience members, ask them to spell a ridiculous word, and see if they were right or wrong. And then before then, I've been, as we were just chatting a little bit beforehand, this summer is going to mark my 20 years being here in Denver, working as an actor, designer all around town. So
Right. Actor, director, sound designer, videographer.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you, most of you don't know this, Luke is usually behind the camera for our Bernie at the Bar episodes, taking care of the filming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting to have you in front of the camera today.
It is. It's a bit different.
Yeah.
In a good way. In a good way.
I'm also very excited about this show, The Shark is Broken. This is the Denver premiere
Yes.
of The Shark is Broken.
Mm-hmm.
It's a funny title. What can you tell us about, for those folks who don't know what this show is, and they hear the title, The Shark is Broken, it kind of grabs your attention, but I don't know what it's about. Tell us what it's about.
Well, what it's about, The Shark is Broken, it stems from a term that was used quite often during the making of Jaws, one of the most iconic movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And also had one of the most well-documented troubled production shoots where nothing went right. Commonly, the shark was broken because they famously used a mechanical shark that was controlled with pneumatics and different hydraulics and pressures. But when they built the shark, they built it for a freshwater environment. Once they got to the seawater of the Atlantic, everything got clogged up and it would rarely work. So oftentimes in a movie about a shark, you really need to have a working shark. So the actors would then commiserate about, well, the shark is broken again today. What are we going to do to fill the time?
Mm-hmm.
And so it focuses on the three lead actors of Richard Dreyfuss, Robert Shaw, and Roy Scheider.
Right.
And they're on the ship, Quint's ship, the Orca, and they pass the time playing card games, talking about life, talking about where they're at in their careers, their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations. They sing some songs, they tell jokes, they get on each other's nerves as well.
Right.
And ultimately, it gives a glimpse of what it was like to make this movie and what behind the scenes kind of mishaps happened.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's a love letter, I would say, because the co-playwright, Ian Shaw, is the son of Robert Shaw, who played Quint in the movie. And in a lot of ways, I would say it's a way of Ian Shaw to honor his father and to say some things that he unfortunately could not say since he was only 9 years old when his father passed away. Mm-hmm. So it's a way to honor him, share his love, and then also share the legacy of what this movie and his work was too.
Now, the movie Jaws just celebrated its 50th anniversary,
50th
right?
anniversary.
Last summer.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the enduring appeal of the movie?
Oh, that's a good question. I think because it has a little bit of everything, because it's as funny as it is terrifying, but it also has a lot of really good human character pieces as well too. You have three very wonderful performances by the three lead actors. It's just such a tightly told story as well too, as far as how we have the shark who comes to the beach, but then they're doubting that there is a shark, but the town sheriff is convinced there is a shark and he has to try to keep the peace and keep it under wraps, but then it becomes exposed, oh no, there is a shark and we have to chase him. Well, who do we go to? We go to Quint, who is this shark hunter who's a little crazy, and you find out why he's crazy. And then it becomes very thrilling, and the music is so good in it too. John Williams' score, which is just so iconic.
Very memorable.
there's so many pieces about it that just make it such a memorable and enduring film.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of it is also people, this is my experience as well. When I remember I first watched it a long, long time ago in college, I thought I saw it already. The reason why I thought I saw it is because it's parodied so often. The music,
Sure.
the different scenes, where you think, oh, of course I've seen it. I've seen the movie, you've got the shark that's going through the water. No, I've just seen the parodies of it.
Mm-hmm.
You think you've then seen it, and then you watch the entire movie and it says, oh, I've been missing out.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those films that from start to finish is just perfect.
Now, the play is just the three actors.
Just the three of them.
Playing Richard Dreyfuss' character, Robert Shaw, and Roy Scheider.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about the casting process. How did that go with the show like this? When you're casting roles that are based on these real people.
Sure. For this one, it's interesting because, as you said, there are three very real people, one of which, Richard Dreyfuss, who is still alive and still with us.
Mm-hmm.
What we were looking for during the casting process when we had auditions is we were looking for people to not necessarily who, if they looked like them, sure, that certainly could play a factor into it, but I think it was more important if they're embodying the spirit of who that character was or who they were. Like Richard Dreyfuss is in the script, he's written as a very kind of neurotic, a bit overthinker as far as just being a new type, the type of actor, the type of person he was. So we're looking for that kind of energy. Roy Scheider is very much the calm presence. He's the peacekeeper in this process who's trying to keep Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw from going at each other's throats. So someone who's going to be a mediator and be that steady, constant presence. And then Robert Shaw is a larger-than-life character on screen and off screen. And so looking for someone who can just embody that kind of intense energy, who can be equal parts playful, but then you get a few drinks in him and he can be the meanest man alive. So looking for a little bit of that. And then also when we got to callbacks, how well do these three people play with each other? Because
the chemistry has to be there, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one thing we actually did as part of the callback process is we put together about maybe 4 or 5 different sea shanties or sing-along songs that we then broke them up into groups of 3 and said, okay, you can take this song and let's figure out just you're commiserating like they do in the movie where they're on the ship and they've told their stories about how they got their scars and they start singing Show Me the Way to Go Home.
Yep.
Let's get you the 3 of you together and just figure out, okay, you're going to take this sea shanty. What do you do with a drunken sailor? Let's make it fun. Make it like this is after a night of drinking and you're just you're not commiserating, but you're having a good time together. Let's just see some camaraderie and some kinship. We went through that process a little bit and it got down to the 3 actors who were in the show. Yeah. They did the very last sing-along and me and the assistant director who's behind the camera now, Meg. Thank you very much.
Hey, Meg.
Hey. We looked at each other and said, well, that's the 3 of them right there.
What did you, that's so interesting that the sea shanty, the combination of those 3 actors and that's funny to say, sea shanty.
It's a tough one.
Say that 5 times fast. What did you see there? When you were like, oh, that's the combination. What was it that you saw?
What we saw, the biggest thing, especially for the 3 of them, is they were playing off of each other. It wasn't just one person doing all the work, the other 2 just sitting back.
Yeah.
It was all of them. Like one of them would pick up a verse, and then the other 2 would join in. Then another one would pick up the next verse. Then they would get arm in arm kind of naturally and start stomping their feet for it.
Yeah.
Or they would just become very, like they'd be supporting each other or kind of having a good time, not being afraid to poke fun and laugh at each other as well too. Because in a show like this, you're going to need to have that sense of that connection among the actors, that sort of chemistry, as you said earlier, because it's going to be just the 3 of them on stage the entire time. They got to like each other and get along well, and we saw that instantly once the 3 of them took the stage and started singing their song.
I would imagine that's the first time they've done a sea shanty at a callback for a play.
As far as I know, yeah.
Has there been anything else like that? Not like that, but anything else in the directing process of this show that's been like, well, I've never done this before in a production, so, but here we are doing it.
Sure. I think one big thing that was interesting is there's a British pub game they play in the show called Shove a Ha'penny, where it's basically a version of shuffleboard where you take a coin and you're trying to flick it as far as you can to make sure it doesn't hit the side of the table or the end of the table. It's written in a way very specifically as far as who has a good shot, who has a bad shot, and how they react to it. And we had to stage it in a way because it's set on the ship, on the Orca, and it's a very tight space. When we originally blocked it, we had like this weird. I had this weird traffic pattern where I actually set up some action figures on my desk. Like, okay, here's where Shaw's at. Here's where Dreyfus. Here's Scheider. Then they have to switch around. Here's the shot. It didn't quite work, and what we eventually started using with once we got more of the set, which the set looks phenomenal.
The set does look. I will say the set does, and the scenic painting.
The painting, oh god,
is
the scenic,
really incredible.
Bernie, little Bernadette, our scenic painter, and Lexi, our scenic designer
Just
and
amazing.
builder, have been doing fantastic work, and it looks so good.
Yeah.
Once we had more of the set, and also our props mistress Courtney, once they built the fishing chair that Quint has that he sits on in the movie. Once that was built, we put that on the one end of the set, and then it just opened up a bit more to play the game easier. So that way it just became, as opposed to a traffic pattern, overcomplicating it. That's what I was doing, is overcomplicating it. Let's just actually treat it like it is a game night. Like they're actually having fun. They're palling around. They're ribbing each other. They're getting in each other's face when they lose or when they win. And then it just flowed together so much easier at that point. So staging a game as written was something I've never done before. That was a fun challenge, and then ended up getting what the final product is, which I think looks great.
How would you describe your directing style?
I like to think of myself as a collaborator, where I very much have a clear vision and an idea of what I want the show to look like and where I want it to end up as far as the final product. But by no means is it my way or the highway, because I know that the actors are going to bring their own experience and their own perspective on a character's relationship or what they see as far as the important objective or the important element to focus on in a specific scene. I know Meg, my assistant director, is going to bring her own perspective in as well too. Sure. And so being able to collaborate with that till we all get to something that's still going to match what I have in my head. It may be slightly different than what I had, just because, I have another perspective of someone that I didn't consider, I didn't think about, but I like where it's going because it's going to make the show richer and end up making it be a much more fulfilling final product, I'd say.
Yeah, sure. No, absolutely. What do you want audiences to get out of this? I mean, some plays are, I just want folks to have a good time.
Sure.
You come see The Mystery of Edwin Drood, for example. You just come to have fun, forget about the world for a while, have a blast. And that's part of what's going on here with the show, I think. But I feel like there's something more.
For this one, what I want people to get out, of course, is have a good time, because it is a very funny show and it is at its heart a comedy. Yeah. But also, I think it caters very well to fans of not only Jaws, but of new Hollywood movies, the 70s, because there's many references to other actors, other stars, other movies of the time. So getting a little bit of maybe coming out of it and learning something new about Jaws or about Hollywood that you didn't really necessarily know. But also what I want people to get out of it is there's a very touching scene that I think is my favorite in the show, where it's the three of them talking about the relationship they have with their families growing up and how it can sometimes be a bit tumultuous, a bit challenging. But ultimately what they want is they want to share something they want to share something with their family. They want to share something with their family that's going to be meaningful and lasting, and especially pass on a message that it's going to be okay and that everything's going to be fine. And I feel that's one thing that if they can take away from that, a bit of connection, that everything is going to be okay in the end.
Yeah.
One thing also to think about, as far as you mentioned the state of the world, and this is one thing I've been thinking about a lot with this show, especially with the fact that it's about Jaws and how rocky of a production cycle it was. They were scheduled for only 50 days. They shot for 151 days. It was shot on the open water.
Amazing.
It was they just didn't know what the final product was going to be. Just like we don't know what the final product of what we're working on that week or that month is going to be. But in the end, it became such an iconic totemic movie that to this day people hold in such high regard 50 years later.
Yeah.
But you don't know you're making a classic at that time, or you don't know that what's going to happen at the end is going to be okay when you're in the thick of it. But just trust that everything's going to be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end.
Very nice. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been so great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Shark is Broken opens January 9th in the Bon Trimble Theater here at Vintage. You can get your tickets at vintagetheater.org, or you can call us 303-856-7830. Thank you so much.
You're going to need a bigger boat.